This week on LTC News, a complete count for Lowell.
And as you know, Lowell's very diverse, so people coming from all different countries originally, and now they're here in Lowell, so there's a lot of reasons why people may not trust filling out a government form. We're here to say that this is a different type of government form and that it's good for our community.
The Lowell Community Health Center celebrates 50 years.
We don't just focus on the medical needs of our patients. We look at what's referred to as the social determinants of health. So what are all the other factors that are impacting one's overall health and wellness?
And helping the homeless.
We are in the process of running our winter emergency bed program, which runs from the beginning of November generally to the beginning of April, depending on the weather. The real focus and goal of that program is safety.
All this and much more on this edition of LTC News. Welcome to LTC News. I'm your host, Krista Brown. Martin Luther King Day has been celebrated for 34 years, but his message and spirit are just as important today as ever before. Lowell's annual celebration took place at the UMass Lowell Inn and Conference Center and featured students of the Lowell Fine Arts School acting the parts of civil rights leaders throughout history. There were multiple cultures represented through music and dance performances.
We shall overcome. Oh, yes, we will. We shall overcome.
Welcome, everyone. It's great to have our whole community here today to really celebrate a great American hero, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Let's spread the love, because hate has no place in our city, in our minds, and in our hearts.
Every year, our country celebrates the birthday of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We celebrate his life, we celebrate his legacy, but most importantly, we also take an assessment of where we are as a country, as a people, in realizing his vision for a peaceful and fair and just society. We owe it to ourselves to be candid in that assessment. And unfortunately, the reality today is that we have income inequality, economic injustice that leads to generational poverty. We have racial and social gaps that contribute to who gets to access health care, housing, education, even clean water. And the great John Leahy from Georgia, who I still pinch myself every time I get the chance to talk to him, he regularly reminds us that we've been here before. Our country has faced conditions. We've even been on the brink of destruction before. And together, we will face it again.
The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Thank you very kindly, my friends. I, Martin Luther King Jr., have seen many things. Today, my legacy still stands. People fight non-violently for what is needed in their society to be equal. Everybody can be great, because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and verb agree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love. Thank you.
Now we would like to announce our 2020 Living the Dream Award recipients. So first, we have Mercy Anampu, Director of Health Promotion with the Lowell Community Health Center. Next, we have Leslie Rivera, Re-Engagement Specialist at UTEC.
Then we have Sally Thayer, Nutrition Manager at the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Lowell. And for our organizational award, we have History Unerased, Deb Fowler, Executive Director.
The Lowell Transitional Living Center provides essential services to Lowell's homeless population. We spoke with the center's new executive director, Andy McMahon, about their programs and the issues around homelessness in Lowell.
Winter presents unique challenges in any shelter environment. Currently, we are in the process of running our winter emergency bed program, which runs from the beginning of November generally to the beginning of April, depending on the weather. The real focus and goal of that program is safety, is trying to keep people who would otherwise be out in the streets of Lowell or in places not fit for human habitation. Our numbers are probably in the upper 60s per night right now, spilling into the 70s once in a while. That is down a bit from last year, I think due to the number of people that we have housed. Any folks 18 and above from the Merrimack Valley are eligible for entrance into the shelter. Again, primarily a housing program that we're hoping identify people, stabilize them if that's what needs to happen, and then find suitable, safe, affordable housing. We do have some housing programs right now. It's very flexible. It's called Rapid Transitions for Individuals. We're having great success with it. We've, in September, October, November, I believe we housed 27 people. And the housing programs aren't strictly limited to those who are in the 90-bed shelter. They're open to everyone. There are many stereotypes and stigmas as to who is a homeless person. Some need a lot of help. Some just need a little help to get back on their feet. The cost of housing, mental health treated or untreated, substance use treated or untreated. But I will say that the city manager convened a task force last spring, and they really took a detailed step-by-step look at all of the causes of homelessness, our reactions to homelessness, what are the services that are out there, how are they being delivered, are they being delivered in the most effective and efficient way. And it was really bringing together, for the first time in my experience, all the relevant players who touch homelessness in the city of Lowell, working towards a common end. Not in silos, but in a big open forum. And it was really, really good, and it's an exciting time to be working in the homeless field in the city of Lowell right now. As far as the expansion in the city, and it's great. We want to be a part of it. We want to be an asset, not a liability. We want to be a partner to everybody. We work with the corrections people. We work with the courthouse people now. I don't see that changing at all. There's no plan at all to move the shelter, to close the shelter. There's been talk about it for years, I guess, but no, the shelter is here. We're going to stay here, and we're going to try to provide the best service that we can. And again, trying to work with our neighbors, and we want to work with our neighbors, and we want to be good neighbors. Just remember that, these are homeless people. They're people, and they're struggling, and some of the wounds are self-inflicted, no doubt. Some are not. So please try not, if I were to ask the community one thing, it would be not to generalize or stereotype these people. They're good people, and they just need a little bit of help, and like we all have at some point in time. And we hope to be able to provide that, or at least a platform for that.
By law, the U.S. Census happens every 10 years. Lowell residents will begin receiving information on how to be counted beginning in March. The city is taking a complete count very seriously, with outreach initiatives to include everyone in the city.
We have to build trust within the census, with our people and the census, trusting what it is, educating what it is. And I think a lot of that comes from a trusted messenger. We are convening partners to try to ensure a complete count in the city. If we don't get an accurate count and we have more people in our city than is counted, then our formula is based on a smaller number. And as you know, Lowell's very diverse, so people coming from all different countries originally, and now they're here in Lowell, so there's a lot of reasons why people may not trust filling out a government form. We're here to say that this is a different type of government form and that it's good for our community.
So the city is convening a complete count coalition with our working cities partners to try to spread the word to as many residents as possible that the census is happening, why it's important. We're making ourselves available to lots of different neighborhood groups and nonprofits and community stakeholders to let them know why it's important.
In America, we all count, no matter where we call home, how we worship, or who we love. And the 2020 census is how that great promise is kept. Because this is the count that informs where hundreds of billions in funding will go each year for things like education, healthcare, and programs that touch us all.
March 12th, the Census Bureau will send out a letter to every household, and then the letter will has code so that people can use that code to go online or call the Census Bureau to complete the census form. And then there will be a couple follow-up after that. And then on April 1st, they call it a Census Day, where everyone is celebrating and having a Census Day. And then later on May 13th, the Census Bureau will start sending enumerators to household to those who haven't responded to the census form online, via phones or the paper form. And then later on July, they will conclude the census taking process.
So the census is looking to hire enumerators. We need trusted voices, folks who speak multiple languages to go out and work with the Census Bureau. It's $27.50 an hour, and it doesn't impact any benefits, so it's a great short-term position. You can go online to the city's website, lowellma.gov, and there's actually a Census 2020 logo on the bottom of the homepage. You click on it, and it'll take you to the city's website. We'll keep you apprised. There's a calendar of events, a timeline of the census, and other information that you might be looking for.
It's very, very important for everyone to be counted so that you get the resources and the benefit that you need to strive and to live in the city.
The Lowell Community Health Center celebrates its 50th anniversary this year. It was one of the first health centers in the state, which grew from the National Community Health Center movement, launched as part of President Johnson's War on Poverty in 1965. We sat down with the LCHC CEO, Susan Levine, who spoke about the history and mission of the organization.
My name is Susan West Levine, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Lowell Community Health Center. You know, I'm often asked the difference between a community health center and a hospital. First, we are not a hospital. A hospital is inpatient care for acute needs. We are an outpatient setting, full primary care and specialty care. We don't just focus on the medical needs of our patients. We look at what's referred to as the social determinants of health. So what are all the other factors that are impacting one's overall health and wellness? And so for Lowell Community Health Center, when a patient comes to see us, we're looking to see, do they have housing? Do they have a sense of belonging in the community? Do they have a job? And do they have access to healthy foods? And so we look at all of those factors and connect our patients with those things that they need in order to ensure that they can have a healthy lifestyle. So in 1970, our local hospital was realizing that some pregnant moms living in some public housing were not accessing prenatal care. And that is what really sparked the genesis of Lowell Community Health Center. So they started a clinic in Shaughnessy Terrace to bring care to those women. If you look at our facility today, 50 years later, we are in this beautiful mill building on Jackson Street, and we comprise 165,000 square feet. We offer all kinds of services today. But the reason we were able to grow is because of the needs in the community and making sure that we responded to the needs of the community. So if you think back to Shaughnessy Terrace, where the immediate need were pregnant moms who needed prenatal care. It then expanded, and we started to provide primary care in other public housing units here in Lowell. And from there, we started some neighborhood-based clinics. And then those neighborhood-based clinics grew, and we had nearly 5 clinics across the city to bring primary care to people who were having difficulty accessing care. And we continue to evolve our programs and services. We bring new programs and services into our community, as recent as our last expansion, where we brought much needed dental and eye care. So this is our 50th year, and this is a major milestone for our health center, and we're very excited about it. It's not every year that an organization turns 50, and so we are celebrating our patients, our staff, our community members. So we started a program called 50 Stories for 50 Years. Those stories might be a story about a patient where she calls this her home because she feels safe here. It might be a story about a staff member who has developed their career here, starting from an MA, a medical assistant, going on to nursing school and becoming a nurse practitioner. So there's wonderful stories throughout those 50 stories, and I encourage everyone to go on our website and look at them.
In this week's Sunspot, Lowell Sun Enterprise editor Chris Scott sits down with Lowell's new mayor, John Leahy.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Chris Scott, the Enterprise Editor at The Sun. Welcome back to another edition of Sunspot. I've been trying to get this guest on for a couple of weeks now. I'm glad I was finally able to get him, but he's the big honcho in the city now. John Leahy, the city's new mayor.
Thank you.
The 92nd mayor. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So tell me, you've had about a week to 10 days now to kind of let all this sink in.
Yeah.
It's a position that you did try to get 2 years ago. It eluded you then, but it didn't elude you now.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling these days?
Good.
Yeah.
I enjoy doing this work. So to be in the mayor's position is that much better. And, you have a little bit more influence maybe on some decisions that are going to be made, and a little bit more on, just observing what goes on in the city. So when you speak up about whatever the issue is, traffic or tickets or whatever, it seems to be heard a little bit louder and clearer.
From the podium?
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you.
Well, even just in City Hall.
You're the 92nd mayor now, and under the Plan E form of government, the city manager runs the city. The city manager is the chief executive.
Yeah.
However, in recent political history, I've noticed, as a former City Hall reporter too, that mayors have taken the position to another level. And they've become much more active. They're more visible. When your colleague, Councilor Rodney Elliott, was the mayor, boy, I think he probably worked at City Hall every day.
Yeah.
And went to everything, all the events, all the ribbon cuttings. I think he delegated little to the vice chairman. I'd like to hear your philosophy on the mayor's job and how it fits in or how it complements the city manager's job. How do you view it?
Okay. Yeah, I think that I'm there as a spokesperson for the council. I have no more power than any other councilor, but I'm there to kind of lead the way, if you will, complement the manager without micromanaging, but, complement what she does, support. And I think for the council, what I'm there for is to make sure that they're informed. So I'm going to be more of a person that delegates out some responsibility. I'm going to make sure everyone's informed. With my type of work, I'm still a young guy like you, and so I can't be at every event.
How old are you
I'm
now?
57.
You're 57, yeah.
You're probably, what, 37?
No,
So
I'm 59 now, believe it or
Right.
not, but go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, so I can't be at everything,
Right.
but that's what the vice mayor
But
is
you're also
there
a
for.
small businessman. You own a
Right,
painting company.
right, and I have to keep that going.
So, how is that going to work? You're going to continue
No,
working?
it works. I have a couple of people right now that are very good, plus myself. I like to be on the jobs and I like to work. So that's going to be a little different. But other than that, I can rely on the crew to do what needs to get done. And I can pick and choose events that I need to be at. And
The
other
vice
than
chairman that was elected was
Yeah,
Rita
Rita
Mercier, the former
Mercier,
mayor.
so she's very good. She'll be able to fill in. Sakari Chow seems to be available. He's another council that can step in, and any other council that has the time or wants to go to certain events,
So you intend to delegate maybe more than some of your predecessors?
Yeah, I mean, I feel you should spread the wealth around. I'm really, like I said, I'm just the chair, and the face of the council, if you will, to make sure that the information gets disseminated and make sure that everybody's informed of events and activities and anything they need to know.
Now, in terms of delegating all those duties and all the ribbon cuttings, and there are many, particularly all the square dedications and everything that comes up in the spring, are you doing that primarily because you are a small businessman, or do you feel just that that's the way the mayor's office should be run?
Yeah, I think that's
Or a
the
little
way
bit
the
of both.
mayor's office should be run. But I'm going to try to make as many as I can. But, you know, I do have a support team around me.
Good,
so.
good. Now, in terms of just the city council, we've only addressed the city council. We can stay on that for a couple of minutes, and we'll move to the school committee. What do you see over the next 2 years as the city's biggest challenge? What is the biggest challenge facing the city?
I think what I want to see is I want the council to be a cohesive group, work together with the manager's office. We've got the high school that's going to start. We've got a lot of bridges that are being repaired.
I'm sorry, what's being repaired?
Bridges.
Oh, bridges, right.
Bridges over the canals. We've got the Lord Overpass that's going to start. So we've got a lot of issues that are going to rise from these traffic issues and business issues, and making sure that the city still runs while we're under construction. So I just want the council to be well informed. I want us to tackle these issues through subcommittees. I'm going to ask the subcommittees to be a lot more, we're going to have a lot more activity than we have in the past. So we're going to have subcommittee meetings. We're going to address issues. We're going to let the public and the community be involved, you know, and really just informational. There'll be some subcommittees where we'll go back and forth with discussions and, you know.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you feel that the subcommittees have not been used to their potential over the past couple terms?
Well, I would say we're on a more of a schedule where we only met if something arose, but I want to be more proactive and really, you know, meet with the neighborhoods, meet with the public safety, meet with the traffic, meet with economic, you know, and make sure that we are listening to the people in the downtown, to the people in the city, the business districts.
I go back to my years at City Hall, and I'm proud of those years, and I enjoyed covering that building back then in the early 90s. And I remember when we talked subcommittees, there was kind of like a top tier of subcommittees: economic development, public safety, and finance.
Yeah.
And you know, you've got 3 counselors who are very much interested in all those issues. You've got Rodney Elliott for finance, you've got Vesna Noon for public safety, and Bill Samaras for economic development. When do you envision naming the membership of those committees and the membership, the chairmanship of them? I'm sorry, and who's on?
Yeah, they're all done today. They'll be
okay.
passed out today, and then we'll have to make a motion to accept them next Tuesday.
Okay.
If we can try to pass them today, if we make a motion today and everybody accepts them, then we'll pass them. at
Did you
tonight's
shake
meeting.
them up much?
A little bit. So public safety, Sakari Chow has been doing a lot of work with that, so I put him on public safety. We combined economic development with downtown
Sure, that makes sense.
development.
Sure.
Yeah. So that one, Rodney Elliott wants to chair that, so he's going to be on that.
Is he also chairing finance?
He is, but with different members. Education, Dave Conway really wanted to take the helm on that. He's got some new ideas. He wants to work with a couple of new counselors, so he's going to head up the education partnerships.
What about the former mayor, Bill Samaras?
He's got a few important ones. He's got, well, especially I think I put him on the environmental and the flood. That's going to be a big issue for Pawtuckaville this year. And that one doesn't get enough attention as it usually does. And that's a big issue for Pawtuckaville and Centerville.
Sure,
So
right.
That'd be a good one for him to tackle.
We'll get a story going on that.
Sure.
We'll certainly get a story on that. Now let's just move. We do have limited time to the school committee.
Yep.
You know, you're also oversee the school committee. What do you see as the big challenge facing the school department over the next couple of years?
We've been through so many superintendents that we really need some
The city
stability.
has churned through.
Yeah. So stability, and we're putting a lot of faith in the new superintendent, Joel, Dr. Boyd.
Joel Boyd, right.
Yeah, and we're going to really, you know, we're going to hold his feet to the fire, but we're going to hold the school committee's feet to the fire too. So we need stability, we need some correction, some course correction. So I think with the new members, Hillary Clark and Mike Dillon Jr., that they're going to be a good spark to this school committee.
Now, I'd like to ask you, how are you going to address the fact that your wife is employed by the school department?
My sister.
Yeah, your sister.
Yeah.
I know that you're not unlike some of the mayors before you who had direct family members who served in the school department as teachers.
Yeah.
So is that going to that would presumably preclude you from taking?
As I know right now, I think I may not be able to participate in the teacher contracts, but I can do the other ones.
Right.
For the most part, the contracts all mirror each other, so we can always start with the administrators and go into the clerks union and whatever. But the administrators will basically reflect, my feelings on the contract and my intentions. So.
Have you gotten an opinion from the solicitor or from the ethics commission?
I'm going to
precisely
do.
what
I'm in
you
the
can and
process
can't
of
do?
doing that. Now.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's one of those issues. You mentioned the high school earlier, and it's one of those issues that kind of, hangs over both committees.
Sure.
There's been talk about trying to bring back the project labor agreement with the new city council, and only time will tell if that happens.
Yeah.
What is your view on that, and is that something that you would recommend come to the floor, or is that something that you would try to push away? I remember when we did a debate here, you said you were clearly opposed to that because it would just add too much to the price.
Right. I think that's discussion has passed. We've talked about it, and it's done with. We are certainly going to hold Suffolk's feet to the fire and make sure that the project gets done on time and on budget. But also, they're going to do what the request of the school committee and the council is to hire as many people from Lowell, do the apprentice programs, minority and women-owned businesses. So we're asking them, and they already know this, that that's the direction we want on this project.
I remember when I covered, again, the city council, when your father was a city councilor, Dan Leahy, and then he went on to become a state senator. But clearly your father would be proud.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
So I wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you, John.
appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning into this latest edition of Sunspot. We'll be back in 2 more weeks with another guest. I'm going to try to get in Christine Clancy, who is the first woman to head the Lowell DPW, as far as I know, right? I mean, I can't think of another woman who's been there, right?
Yeah.
All right, so have a good night, everyone.
And that's all for this edition of LTC News. You can find us on LTC channels 8, 95, and 99, online at ltc.org, on Roku in the LTC News playlist, on Facebook at LTC Lowell, or on our YouTube page. We leave you now with more scenes from this year's Martin Luther King Day celebration. I'm your host, Krista Brown. Thanks for joining us.